Welcome, everyone, to Analytical Fanboys. I am one of your hosts, the Modular King of the podcasting ring, the Vacuuminator, and I am joined, as always, by my back-breaking co-host, Boingo Rider.
Flash. He broke the universe.
I love you so much right now.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. You know who else I love? Quite a bit. I love the coolest toy collector in the Sunshine State. Snowcone83 is also here. How you doing, dude?
Wow, I didn't know we were that far in our relationship. That's good to know.
We're
I'm doing
getting
pretty
along.
good.
We're getting along. You know, we're cracking up. We're saying stuff. I'm confusing you for my favorite wrestler, which was bound to happen eventually.
Just keep it in your pants.
Oh.
Am I allowed to take it out of my pants?
Only if you put it on your pants.
Chris,
That just took it to a weird place.
God damn it. Let's get into some this week in Modular. Did either of you guys do anything creative this week?
I've been working on a video. It's not done yet. It'll probably be done next week.
I'm excited. I'm excited. I think you told me what this was, and if it's what I think you told me what it was, it'll be fun.
By the time this is out, that video should be out, so I can just kind of say what it is. It's Space Jam is an isekai, and kind of talking about it.
Yes, Queen!
But I'm also kind of taking this video because it's a little bit of a simpler edit and kind of going like, all right, let me play with some things I know I'm going to have to do for later videos just so I can kind of figure it out. Like in the video, I talk about like a single issue of Animal Man, Coyote Gospel. And I basically talk through it, and so I'm going to use this video to kind of go like, how will I edit panels in a still issue of a comic book going from panel to panel kind of thing, so I know how to use that for Superman Madman Hullabaloo. And I'm going off mic for a second. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, I guess I'll just say that this week I put out a video that was kind of like a piss take on like half-assed Lego build videos that also ended with some much-awaited story advancement for my videos. And I would be pretty okay with that. I really enjoyed just how shitty I was able to make that thumbnail. However, I'm much more annoyed with YouTube in regards to this video because I set it to unlisted, and sometime at the middle of the night, it just automatically switched to public, and I did not realize till I was at lunch at work the next day.
I didn't fucking know either, and I got to go check something real quick, so I'll be right back.
Yeah, I had to. I had to fix that and then do a proper release when I got home with like a promotional post everywhere and whatnot. And it was super awkward because the thing already had like 16 views. And I think that might have killed it in the algorithm because currently it's sitting at 20, which really irritates me. But also it's kind of like it wasn't made to appeal generally, so I can't get too mad. But it led to a pretty good Twitter rant at least. Cody, what have you been up to this week? As far as creatively?
Well, I've been covering for my boss the entire week, so I haven't had a day off since we had that outing after me and Chris went out, an outing. So not a lot. I've just been... It feels like I've been working for 3 weeks, and I have not.
Jesus, that sucks.
Yeah.
Well,
but other than that, not much.
Anyways, this week on the show, we're discussing the first topic that has been selected from the list that was put there by Cody. Cody, this is your first pick, bro. Why don't you tell us all about it, dude?
Well, I've always been a fan of the DC animated universe and any animated movie, and I was a little scared because we had done one not too long ago. Or well, technically no, we did the comic, and I watched the movie because there was a movie, so I can compare the two. And this time I didn't get to do the comic because we were watching the movie. Because I've never read Flashpoint by itself, anyways, and I've always wanted to. but apparently I'm told that it's pretty 1-to-1. And I liked it again all the way through. I love this movie. I really do. I love this movie, and it's a start, and I think that, or it's a start of or it's a show of things to come with how it progresses and how the other ones come.
It's the start of their the DC direct-to-DVD, because this was a line before this, the DC direct-to-DVD animated movies. And this is the start of their sub-line they've been doing that only just recently wrapped up at the time of this recording, of movies inspired by the New 52. And they're all in continuity with each other.
Yeah, and it's very good. It's all good, honestly. There's probably ones that aren't as good as others, but I like them all. But I like this one a hell of a lot. And I'm interested to hear what you guys have to say about it.
It is a really solid DC story that really showcases why the DC universe kind of shouldn't go grim and gritty, because it just gets really depressing.
Oh my god, I am the kind of guy who really rails against this kind of DC thing, and oh boy, this movie super wasn't for me.
I mean, to an extent, it's the whole movie is basically going hey, all this grim and gritty shit, it's wrong. This isn't how the world's supposed to be. This isn't the DC universe we know. We need to fix it.
I get that that's the point of it, but I'm also watching it from the perspective of a comics fan who got into comics 6 months before this event originally happened. And I know what this event leads to, which is more grim and gritty 90s bullshit. And also, the entire plot of this film kind of throws Barry Allen under the bus as a character, and has, at least to this day, forever left him scarred as that dipshit who keeps fucking up the timeline. So I'm not much of a fan of this.
Is this Barry Allen's Janet Van Dyne moment?
This is that. This is his superhero registration act moment, almost.
Oof.
Yeah. Because this is the beginning of the now popularized by the Flash TV show meme of Barry fucks up the timeline. Just saying "damn it, Barry" has become a meme amongst DC fans whenever there's a change to continuity because of this story, not this movie in particular. This movie, I will say, is a really good adaptation of the comic. It gets a lot of the beats right, and a lot of the story is there. A lot of dialogue is lifted straight from the book, and I think that's because apparently Jeff Johns was a consultant on it, and he wrote the original event. But also, I don't think that does this story any favors, because one of my big problems with this story is a lot of the big bombastic elements of it are explained properly in the tie-ins, and they're only touched on in the main series, and it's that way here. And I'm you could have fixed a lot of that by either cutting stuff out or actually explaining some things here. There could have been a subplot with Thomas Wayne Batman and Martha Wayne Joker. You could have gone more into and fleshed out why this Wonder Woman is the kind of person who would sleep with a married man. You could have shown us more adventures of skinny Superman. There's stuff to play around with in this universe. You don't even see Element Woman or the Flying Graysons show up in this. And it feels like this universe is here for just kind of shock value, especially with characters like fucking Grifter is in this movie, and it's probably the only time he's ever had a voice in anything. And if you don't know comics, you're gonna be like, who the fuck is this guy?
Who's the fuck is this Deadpool looking motherfucker?
Yeah.
One of my
Deadpool
friends
and Vigilante
growing up,
had a baby.
Mm-hmm.
What were we saying, Cody?
One of my friends growing up, his favorite comic book character was Grifter, just because of the design. So whenever I watched this originally, I was just like, "Whoa, Grifter!" And that's one thing I think.
Like, literally all I know about Grifter is the people who are into Grifter are really into Grifter. And and in kind of the same way as, like, people who are into Gamera, I'm like, cool, you do you.
Wasn't Grifter like part of like Jim Lee's DC imprint?
Yep, he is from the Wildstorm universe, which is a big thing the New 52 did. It was like it pulled both mainline continuity, Wildstorm, and one of the other ones.
The one that Dwayne McDuffie did.
Yeah, it pulls all of those into the same universe, which I think we're still kind of stuck with even after Rebirth.
I mean, come on, having Static in the main DC universe is pretty cool.
That's fair.
And DC can't go wrong with having another Superman analog, because you have Superman, Captain Atom, Shazam, and Icon all in one universe. Come on.
Mm-hmm. Need to read the original Icon comic. I've heard such good things about that. But getting on to this more, yeah, I don't know. A lot of this movie just, like, here's the thing. This isn't like Beck, where I was repulsed by it through the whole thing, except for a few scenes. I was just generally okay with this. It just kind of washed over me as I was watching it. And then I went and read the comic and some of the tie-ins, and I was like, it's nice to finally know what caused all that New 52 bullshit, but, like, this ain't anything really special or interesting. And then I thought about it for a couple days, and I kept thinking of reasons why this really pissed me off. Like, fucking, especially in the movie, because this isn't a thing, and this is one of the few changes they made for the movie. I hate that Cyborg is on the Justice League before the timeline change. Like, that really bothers me. I'm like, if you want to have him on the Justice League in the New 52 movies, I understand that. That's fine, because you're adapting those comics where he's on the Justice League from the start. I'm against that on principle, but because you're adapting that material, I can be okay with it. But having him in that opening sequence is just me going like, why are you here? What are you doing here? Who paid
He's there
you?
to introduce himself to the audience, so an audience goes like, whoa, he's different.
Mm-hmm.
I was also thinking about that, and if I think it was my understanding that Flashpoint was the thing that kicked off the entire DC AU. It might have been Justice League Doom. If Justice League Doom came out after this, then that'd be one thing, but I think it might have came out before this.
I think there's a similar voice cast, but I don't know if they're supposed to be the same characters.
I mean, they look the same. And the Justice League Doom is part of that. Let me just try to look that up.
Oh, that's another thing that, like, really bugged me about this movie. The fact that the animation looks pretty much the exact same through the whole thing. I'm like, especially because when you get to the end of the movie and everyone's wearing the New 52 costumes and they look awful, like, they look even worse than they do in comics. They look awful on those animation models. I hated that. I was like, it would have been so cool had we have free animation styles for this movie. One for that opening sequence, one for the alternate timeline, one for the New 52 timeline that they stick with as their house style throughout the rest of these movies. But the fact that it's the same thing all the way through, I get that you don't want to confuse general audiences, but also, like, the only people that get into these movies are people who are already DC fans or people who have been just recently indoctrinated into DC by their friends. So I don't like I think the only reason they didn't do something like that is because either they weren't ambitious enough or they didn't have the budget, because these things are severely constrained budget wise.
I definitely feel like it was the budget, because there were several moments where you just had a very weird, blatant CG model for Barry in some of the super speed segments.
Yeah, that's definitely the weak points for me. Like, even back when I watched it for the first time, I was like, this is all right. Like, it does what it needs to do, but, like, I'm not usually a fan. Like, historically, I'm not a fan of that kind of animation for the most part. The only thing I've seen do it and do it well, I think there's actually two, thank God, because I was going to say I remember there's another one. I used to be solely against it, but Gundam The Origin does it, and it does it good, like stupid good. It uses it and it makes it look like the original cartoon, which is crazy. Also, the newest Broly movie did it, and I didn't even realize it did it until I was at the end of the movie.
I mean, there's also Initial D, which is more blatant, but it kind of like works for it.
Yeah, that's a little bit different though, because they don't have to move. They move in the environment, but they don't like shift. If you get what I'm saying.
Right. Yeah.
Also, just a note on that. So Flashpoint came out in 2013. Justice League Doom came out in 2012, but it says it's not technically part of.
Wow, I forgot this got adapted that quickly because the comic came out in 2011.
Yeah, and there was a couple things. There's a couple things later like that too that they do, and then they also do in this or in this universe.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, whenever I went from Justice League Doom to Flashpoint Paradox, I was like, oh, in this universe, it doesn't list it as it because like the animation style is a little bit different, but like I think they still intend for that too. And I mean, like he's been a part of it too. Also, we are on opposite ends. Where like you don't like Cyborg on Justice League, and I do like Cyborg on Justice League.
It's not that I don't like him on the Justice League. It's that I don't like him on the Justice League from the get-go. I feel like he should have a few years in the Teen Titans first.
I don't think it's implying that it's not. Well, I guess in Justice League Doom, that's kind of how it goes.
And in Justice League War, that's really how it goes, because that's his fucking origin story as well as the Justice League's origin story.
Yeah. That's kind of the thing with Cyborg and New 52.
Yeah. Which,
I think it's partially because they wanted to have Hal Jordan be the Green Lantern, but they went, oh shit, this team is full of white people. We need a black dude. Cyborg.
And to that I say, why not bring back Martian Manhunter? He's a black dude in some continuities when he's looking human, but okay.
I mean, that's a weird trope. Is how in America we kind of associate green aliens with black dudes, like Piccolo.
I
never thought of that, but yeah.
And that's not even a trope. Or, I mean, yeah, technically a trope, but also people like that's side note. Like that is a bit of a problem too, because like if you're only sub representation of something is not even wanting to go full ham on that, like it's kind of like lame. Like, but Piccolo is cool, and that's a different thing. But like
I wasn't saying there was anything wrong with it. I'm just saying that's a weird like hang up we have in media.
In other cases, there is it's an issue. I don't think that was the intention in Dragon Ball Z.
Oh no, in Dragon Ball is in the original Japanese of Dragon Ball, Piccolo's just like a demon dude. It's in the American dubs that I think Americans kind of associate Piccolo with the black dude. I don't know why. And I think things like Team 4-Star kind of leaning into it a little bit also help inform some of that.
Yeah. But anyways,
but yeah, having Martian Manhunter, who's not even human, be your sole representation of a minority is kind of like it's like kind of having an AI be your sole representation of autism. It's like, bro, no.
He did also say though, like whenever he's looking human, so like
yeah, I know what. Yeah, but I'm just saying like
that's fair. But I also I really hate that fucking Martian Manhunter has basically been shoved off of all Justice League things because of Cyborg being in the Justice League.
Yeah,
I haven't noticed enough to see him take the place of that. See, that this is like the other thing though, is that like I don't read a lot of comics. So my main intake of like DC stuff is the animated stuff. Even though I have read a lot of comics, I just don't read a lot of the new shit. I was reading some DC stuff a little bit here and there and some Marvel stuff here and there.
And I try to keep tabs on everything. So I kind of look at like stuff they try to do across the board. Like stuff from this period where they were trying to make everything the new 52 because they were getting mad that comics fans didn't like it and they were trying to force it down people's throats. Like, they'll like it eventually if we just give them more.
Yeah, I remember whenever that started happening too. Like, I was like indifferent about it, but I don't know. Like, I just knew that like I expected you to have like some issues with this, just because of some of the things. Because I know some of the things that I like about this, you probably wouldn't.
I mean, I'll admit a lot of the stuff I get annoyed about with this movie is really semantical. Like, I hate the way the time travel changes are explained in this, but then you could also just come back at me with, like, Terminator 2 makes literally no sense. So.
Yeah, like, that is one of the silliest things. And, like, even as being, like, a fish out of water, like, dude watching this for the first time and having not any idea what Flashpoint is, and, like, hearing Eobard go, like time boom. I'm like,
it was a ripple effect, Barry. Have you ever heard about when butterflied? You know the butterfly effect? That's a thing in our universe now.
The ripple
he didn't
thing
describe
makes
it as
better.
a butterfly effect. He did like in a fully comic booky way. It makes sense.
Yeah,
true,
like,
but I feel like it would have made him so much more intimidating as a villain if he had just said, like, this was my plan all along. I wanted you to go back in time so I could follow you and then fuck everything up in order to torture you.
Well, I mean, he didn't necessarily, did he?
No, there's no, like, here's the thing. Here's something else that really pisses me off about that scene. There's no explanation for why Reverse Flash exists in this timeline. Like, Barry is not the Flash in this timeline. He wakes up and he doesn't have powers. So, like, Reverse Flash should have no reason to fucking exist, because the whole reason Reverse Flash exists is he finds out about the original Flash and goes, that guy's a fucking asshole. I'm going to become Flash and go back in time and kill him. And so he recreates the experiment.
Well, that Reverse Flash, though, is the match to Barry Allen. Like, he's not that universe's Reverse Flash. He is just Reverse Flash.
That's what I'm saying,
Speed
though.
Force.
Like,
Speed Force. I always took it as like, oh, like he's able to like go back and forth and around because he fucks with the Speed Force, which is also one of my favorite things about DC, even though I know it's silly and fucky and like I don't care about that. I just like it. Like, I love the Speed Force. I love that Superman is a part of it. And I've especially loved seeing all the newer shit, like with like Red Death and all that other shit, like all the crazy concepts they've taken Flash and like how almost like Dragon Ball Z Super Saiyan-y it's gotten. Because I enjoyed that part of it.
But like, and listeners, I know I'm getting incredibly pedantic right now, but wasn't he like on his way to prison with a power inhibiting set of handcuffs or something on him at the time that Barry went back in time? How could he have like jumped into... Listen, buddy! Listen, buddy! If you were like several hours away from me, you would be catching these hands right now.
I mean, he does maybe have a point. But no, like, that's definitely a weak point. Just period. Just how they handle all of that. Because, like, I'm like, well, when did he get a chance? When did he get the chance? I mean, yeah, he does move at like the speed of like, or faster than that, so he can just do whatever. But like, did he really cram up that like his like? That's another thing that they don't really like. I mean, you know, it's fun to get that way, but like, so am I to believe that he just like took one of his own suits and jammed it in that ring?
Yeah,
just to fuck with them. Like,
I mean, realistically, he could have his own like Reverse Flash ring and can kind of put it in his pocket and go like, hey, he'll think this is his, and
either way, I mean, like, it's comic shit anyways, so like, you know, we're complaining about this.
It is the kind of petty shit that you would believe Reverse Flash would do.
Yeah.
And then like, fucking, the other thing that really annoyed me about this, and this is just a thing I have in general with this story, not specifically the movie, But like I've known about Thomas Wayne Batman forever, and people have always insisted to me that like it's the coolest thing in the world, and like it makes total sense that he shows up in the Tom King Batman run, and like I thought he was kind of badass there, but I've always had this little thing in the back of my mind, and it really came to the forefront after finally experiencing this story, which is it makes no goddamn sense that he's as good at being Batman as he is, or even that he would make the choice to be Batman to me. Like, I get the idea that it's supposed to be a sick, twisted inversion, and like, oh, it's a reaction to Martha going insane. But like, at the time he was murdered in DC continuity, Thomas Wayne was like a 40-year-old doctor. Bruce Wayne, on the other hand, was an 8 to 12-year-old, depending on the origin, nobody, nothing kid. And then he had the entire rest of his young life to train and become a badass, smart person in order to be Batman. Thomas Wayne didn't have that, and yet the same amount of time passes, and he's just Batman, but with guns and even sadder.
See, for me, I literally view him as like, oh, because like, if Batman killed people, he'd be like the Punisher essentially, and and that's what Thomas Wayne is. That's what I took it as. Because like, the other thing I'll comment on in a second is like you talk about how like the comic explores the backgrounds of all these characters, but for me, I know nothing of these characters.
There's a shit ton of tie-ins.
I know there's a bunch of tie-ins, but what I'm saying is like I'd like to like know that shit, but like also because I knew DC at the time, like because I just know how like alternate dimensions work, I'm just like I don't have to have that, or I didn't have to have that whenever I watched it originally, because I was just like, I'm like, oh, like what they showed was enough for my brain to be like, oh, dude, like that's this universe's Joker, and like Yo-Yo's Harley Quinn, and like I'm questioning like how this and that happened, but like I'm not like mad that it has. I guess because of like the way DC presents itself usually to me, I don't necessarily question how, because I'm like I'm sure there's a reason, or I'm like that could literally just be it, because like sometimes we get some way weirder shit and like alternate universes, and I don't know, man. Like
that's fair, and I mean like. Sometimes I'll be shown weird alternate universes and I'll just have to accept them and move on and be cool with that. But also like I'm not upset at this as like, oh, it's different, so it's bad. It's different, and the explanation they offer isn't good enough for me. Like I feel like a lot of people are acting out of character is the problem.
I mean, to me, that Thomas was like maybe like mid-30s, late 30s. Like that could be an explanation for that, but also he's not shown to be a good ninja. He's not shown to be a martial artist. He's shown to be a guy who can take a punch, throw a punch.
Yo-Yo does like beat his ass for a little bit there,
and he can shoot a gun like that. Like it takes, yeah, you have to train with it, but like it doesn't take as long to be really good with a gun as it does to be really good at like kung fu.
I mean, yeah, in like I don't know if you ever watched like the shit for Keanu Reeves
training for John Wick.
Yeah, training for John Wick, but like post that, like I'm sure he's kind of into it. Like he kind of knows some stuff just from like being a Keanu Reeves. But like he does get taught a lot of the shit he does in John Wick training for the movie. Like he like. So I'm just saying, like, I'm providing some like real life things, real life examples to say like it's not as impossible as you might think.
That's
and also,
and even though they say like, oh, Batman's a great tactician, his tactician's really just like, hey, just get these people away from here and we'll deal with this. It's very like haphazard. It's not like true tactician like Batman.
And the other thing is like, because people do this with the Punisher a lot, and they do this with the Punisher in comics sometimes. Like, the Punisher's supposed to be a little bit older. That's one of my issues with like the John Bernthal like Netflix thing, and like this is something that me and my friend Jake talk about a lot. Is like the idea that like an older guy can't do that shit, because like you could be like 50 and still be like doing that shit, you know, like whenever Batman's in his 60s, like you can be an able-bodied, still fine and like beating people's ass just as much as like a 20-year-old could be. But like a lot of popular media doesn't like showing that because
Yeah.
audiences can't relate to that.
Yeah, and I guess I am kind of being an asshole there because like there's a whole thing in the world of wrestling where when somebody gets to be in their mid 30s, people immediately go like, "Oh, that guy or that lady, their career is probably about 3/4 of the way done." And then those people still be in the ring when they're 60. Hi Dustin Rhodes, hi DDP. But it's I don't know. It was
I get
I
what
wanna
you're saying. Like, I'm not saying your points aren't fair. I'm just trying to provide fair
like
counterpoints.
if Thomas Wayne was going in there like how we normally associate Batman, like full ninja assassin kind of thing, yeah, I'd be agreeing with you. But like they kind of present it as like, no, he is in over his head. He is pissed off at the world, and he just has a gun, and he's just gonna shoot everything. He doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, and I mean, he's definitely not Batman. Like,
And I mean,
especially with that comment on like looting, and also there's a couple things in here that are just I winced at from like modern shit. I'm just like, ooh. But continue with what you're saying.
Another thing that does kind of, and this is more an across the board thing, is like I'm looking at a screen cap of him right now, and I'll put it in our Discord chat. I hate how jacked he is because I don't think of Thomas Wayne. I do not think of Thomas Wayne as the kind of dude who hits the gym.
Dude, I love that. So I love his character design so much because he just looks like. Oh, no, you know what he looks like? Hang on.
Design. It just doesn't need to be so beefy.
I mean, everybody's beefy. Look at the traps on fucking Aquaman.
That fucking irritates me so much. Listen, Aquaman is a twink, but he's scary because he can control water. And he fucking owns the ocean.
Nah, bitch, give me fucking linebacker Aquaman.
I hate Jason Momoa so much. Yes, you can misquote me on that. Somebody make that a clip.
Genuine, I like. Part of me just really likes that character design. It is super dumb, and I hate it, but I also love it.
It's also just like fucking. It's the start of the whole New 52 90s aesthetics. Because like, look at the women in this movie. Wonder Woman looks like a tiny fucking baby doll. And yet we're supposed to believe she wanted to sit on that.
Chris clicked the link just now. I know that. That's always what I've thought of. And for the audience, it's Nick Nitro from Small Soldiers. It's always what I've thought of whenever I see his chin. It's 100% like what he looks like.
I mean, even like it has a shadow and the 5 o'clock shadow. It's fucking great.
I'm gonna have to Photoshop that for the thumbnail.
That is why I like Thomas Wayne, by the way. That's why I like his design so much and like how crazy he looks.
Ooh.
I also like
Shazam the Shazam was pretty cool in this movie. I like how he's like a collective.
Yes, that is actually a cool concept, and I think it's the start of fucking Jeff Johns bringing back the Shazam family in the New 52, Shazam. And that's one. Okay, few Adams. That's one of the few good things about the New 52 is that. So like I can kind of pat this movie on the back for throwing that in, but it's also kind of a background thing that's gone into more in a tie-in because that's a consistent problem with this movie is it'll bring up cool and interesting things and then not really do a lot with them. I feel like I'm getting a bit circular here, but it's.
I mean, isn't that the problem with a lot of like? Isn't that the problem with a lot of comic book events?
Yeah,
there's so many tie-ins with like ancillary material,
and that's why adapting most events is a bad idea.
I mean, that's why when Marvel MCU adapts an event, they just go like, "All right, what's the core concept we want?" And then we rebuild the story from there.
Yeah.
And I know you guys haven't seen it yet, but that is kind of how things go on from here on forward.
Like, I know many a spoiler.
I've seen some of the DCAU 52 movies. Not all of them. I've seen some.
I'm just saying,
like the 2 Teen Titans ones.
Yeah, one of those is really uncomfortable for me, and I know it's like correct. I just,
yep.
Yeah.
Oh, Judas.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. She.
I mean, that's kind of the point.
The other thing is like, in that movie specifically, uh, dude, what is her name? I'm just gonna call her like. Is her name actually Tara?
Yeah, that's her name.
Yeah.
I know she was voiced by Tara Strong, but I'm like, that's not right. Yeah.
God
So
damn.
she looks a lot like one of my exes, and it. The
Oh,
whole time I was like, it's too real. It's the number 2 and real. That whole movie for that one. Like,
everyone press F for Cody in the comments right now over that.
No, there's so many press Fs in your relationship history.
Anyways,
This movie. Hey, you want to know about some shitty relationship stuff? Let's talk about Wonder Woman and Aquaman.
oof.
I mean, yeah.
It made me so mad. Because like fucking the only time anything has made me okay with Wonder Woman dating another member of the Justice League is like when they kept teasing it in Justice League Unlimited. That was kind of fun because it was a will they won't they thing, and it was clear that it would never actually go anywhere.
Is that with Batman?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like the popular. I see it on Instagram all the time, where it's like Batman's like, I would never date Diana. She's a great person and amazing, and she's awesome, and she's standing right behind me. And I'm like, I love that. It's fun.
Yeah. This, however, really irritates me because Wonder Woman is supposed to be the most kind and virtuous person on the Justice League. And yet they heavily imply that she slept with another woman's husband because of political alignments, and then proceeded to murder that woman when she got mad at Diana. Because, that's what Wonder Woman's known for, going right to killing people.
That's
Wonder
what
Woman
your
is the
Wonder
hero that
Woman
kills
is known
people.
for.
No, Wonder Woman is the hero who redeems everyone in her rogues gallery.
I mean, okay.
You get what I'm saying, right? It's DC alternate universe. Like it's that it literally is not your Wonder Woman.
Yeah, it's a different Wonder Woman because if I may, Time Boom, Wonder Woman didn't come to America like she's supposed to in her origin, becoming the kind person. She's Salem.
And America makes everyone good.
But here's the thing, they don't actually explain that in the movie. They just show those flashbacks to explain why they're fighting, and you're like, wait, why would Wonder Woman do that? If you don't think about it,
we know that that's a different Wonder Woman. Like, I get what you're saying, but I'm just saying, like, not even as like someone who knows DC, but you're watching this movie and you're like, oh, that's obviously not. It's not presented as like your Wonder Woman did this. It's presented as if like this is how fucked up everything is. Like, look at what Wonder Woman's doing. Look at how Aquaman is. Like, I mean, literally, Barry Allen reacts the same way you do.
That's fair, but also, like, I can't help but think Barry Allen is a complete dipshit because the fucking Reverse Flash said 2 things to him, and he was like, oh, I'm sad now. I must fix it. And he didn't think about it for 1 fucking second, even though when this story happened in comics, Barry Allen was like a superhero for decades at this point, so he should be way fucking smarter than to fall for that kind of shit.
Yeah, but don't we all have moments like this?
It's not my Barry Allen. Barry Allen isn't even my fucking
I wasn't going to
Flash.
say that. I was just going to say we as humans all have weak points. I'm just teasing on that point. Like, at that point, I get what you're saying. That's just me having fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's always something I've thought of, too. Whenever, like, I watched this originally, I'm like, well, see, I go back and forth even with myself because I'm like, sure, like, Barry Allen could have been smart, but, like, at that point, even in the comics, like, did he know that, like, doing something like that would have done something like that to the universe? Because obviously Barry Allen wouldn't risk everyone for that.
But that's the thing, is he didn't think about it for 2 seconds, and it's like the Flash is the fastest man alive. He can slow down time just by vibrating his body. He should have taken a second to seriously consider it. And he should have known that he needed to do that because he'd been the Flash for a while at that point. Like, the entire impetus for this story feels out of character to me.
Birthday.
Okay, Jeff Johns, you sappy motherfucking nostalgic dumbass. Why the fuck did you bring this guy back from the dead anyway? He literally added nothing back into the universe except for that stupid shit.
Barry Allen's also one of my favorite DC characters, by the way. So
I will be a Wally West guy till the day I die. And I haven't even read any Wally West comics. I just fucking know I like him better because Justice League cartoon.
I like my Barry Allen, and I like my Jon Stewart. And
Jon Stewart, we can agree on. Jon Stewart is the fucking man. I love The Daily Show.
But I also love like Barry Allen at the most when it's in something like Young Justice. Whenever you see the Flash family,
yeah, Flash family is always wearing fucking impulse and shit.
Yeah, dude.
How you doing over there, Chris? I think he died. Did he die?
No, he's bouncing a ball around his laptop. Christopher.
Christopher?
Well,
I think Chris is experiencing audio issues.
Hopefully not.
God, is there anything else I haven't bitched about with this movie yet?
I don't know, you have bitched a lot.
I have. I really don't like Steve Blum as Lex Luthor. It's an incredibly tiny thing, but I don't feel that fits the character at all.
I love Steve Blum and hearing him. I'm kind of like on the fence about that. I fucking love Ron Perlman as Deathstroke. Oh my god.
Oh yeah, that's brilliant casting. And like, here's the thing: I don't know who else you would have gotten to play this Lex, because Clancy Brown wouldn't have worked for that character model. But Steve Blum was the wrong choice, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's whatever. It's interesting to see. I always like seeing alternate universe shit, anyways, just because it presents something interesting.
Also, no, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I love this entire movie just because of like the letter delivered to. I mean, the story rather. The letter Flash delivers to Bruce, and I'm like, that's why.
Do you know what the letter actually says?
No, I don't.
It's explained in Tom King's. There's technically two different versions of it. In the actual Flashpoint comic, it's narrated by an unnamed narrator for the entire story, and then at the end we see a little bit of the letter, and it's basically hinted that the letter is the narration from the rest of the story. So Thomas Wayne basically was just telling Bruce what had happened to the universe. However, in Tom King's Batman, which is the Rebirth run, it is explained that he wrote this basically elaborate, flowery letter to Bruce saying, like, hey, I'm proud of you. I'm glad you were able to keep going after I died, but like, fucking stop. Stop being Batman. It's not good for you. You are driving yourself insane trying to save the world. You need to do something for you. You need to take some time to help yourself. And then that leads to him almost marrying Catwoman and settling down. It's a whole thing. We should look at Tom King's Batman run at some point, although it is very long, so we probably have to do it over a couple episodes.
I'm interested. I'm between this and like McFarlane, like just there being what I consider good DC shit for me to buy right now. Because like I've always loved DC, but like my biggest problem is like a lot of the DC offerings, for the most part, I never was really about. Or whenever I could be about them, there was other shit for me to be. Like whenever we had like I forget what it was. I was like, was it DC Classics or whatever?
DC Universe Classics, the Mattel line.
Those figures were all right, and the Build-A-Figures were all right. But Cole bought a lot of those, and I remember not liking them that much.
A lot of them were just the same buck painted differently. They didn't do a lot of new sculpts. Have you ever looked at any of the what do they fucking call them? DC collectibles or DC Direct figure lines?
I've definitely looked at everything. Let me just pull them up, because I know for a long time, like there's been some good ones. DC. Yeah.
Because like the thing with those, there for the longest time, well, there still is. There's a trade off with DC 6-inch stuff where like the Mattel stuff, pretty good articulation for the time. However, it's like I said, they reuse the same bucks a lot. The DC Direct slash DC Collectibles, because they were DC Direct forever, then they changed it to DC Collectibles for like 4 years, and then they changed it back to DC Direct last year. Because that's not confusing at all. But their lines have a lot of are like incredibly well sculpted and for the most part well painted, but the articulation is really lacking. Like up until very recently, a lot of their figures were basically glorified statues.
DC Essentials, is that what we're talking about, or is that something
DC
different?
Essentials is from the newer stuff where I think that's actually the current direct line, and that has much that's they fixed the articulation now and whatnot. They also did DC Icons before that, which is basically the same thing, just with a different name. But like where I really got into it was a few years before that with the Blackest Night figure line, because those things look fucking incredible.
Dude, Cole had like all of those.
I had a few, but I'd really like to go back and get everything from that, because like I'm not a huge Green Lantern guy, but I always like really like the ideas behind the Jeff Johns Green Lantern stuff, and Blackest Night is the fucking shit, and like just so many of those figures look so cool.
My favorite two things about DC are the Flash and the Green Lantern stuff.
You're literally Jeff Johns then.
Nice. Yeah, no, Cole had a lot of these, and like so many of them, dude. So many of them are cool.
Mm-hmm.
He had a Necron. Yeah, he had a lot of these. He had the Acrylo.
I think I had 3 of them. I had 4. I had Aricia, Larfleeze, Kyle Rayner, and fucking Saint Walker. But there were a shit ton more in there that I had wanted to get and just never got around to. And then I sold them all a couple years ago.
I thought there was a Blue Lantern Flash.
There is. I believe it was a convention exclusive. I mean, that did happen in that store. Let me see if I can find it. Now I want to fucking get it for you.
I'm looking at a like checklist of all the figures, so.
There he is. They also did him in the DC Universe Classics. They did an entire Blackest Night wave, which was just the heroes and villains that got turned into various lantern colors in that story.
Yeah.
And then there was briefly Green Lantern Classics, which was 2 waves of kind of cool comic stuff, and then a wave of movie stuff that just absolutely killed it.
I'm sorry. My mother called, and she would not shut up for 10 goddamn minutes.
Okay, we've just been talking about DC toys. But I don't know. Is there anything else with this movie that you think we need to discuss, Chris?
I like how they used a lot of D-list characters as like background fodder.
That was
like OG Sandman.
Yeah, I forgot about that. That is one of the coolest designs, and like that's it's bringing back to what me and Cody were talking about. That's one of the must gets from DC Universe Classics. That's an awesome figure in that line.
Yeah, so is the Robot Man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. Like, I don't know. I like DC being gritty and poppy at the same time, because like that's what makes it feel real. I don't like things taking like one side or the other.
And I feel like I would be way more into the grittiness if it wasn't so all encompassing. over the last few years. It feels like every major DC thing has been gritty for the last few years. And that's kind of why I immediately don't take to this kind of stuff. But like I will admit, you guys have made some really compelling arguments for this story throughout this podcast, and I don't think I never thought I hated it. I was really turned off to it after I watched it the last couple days, but like I don't know, I might go back to this at some point.
I think I don't want to say like definitively, but I think because I'm much more of a Marvel fan and Cody's a big Marvel fan too, that maybe we are like, because Marvel tends to play with the weird, gritty, poppy, hopey kind of situation a lot more throughout its history. That it's a tone that we're used to a lot more, and DC isn't kind of used to it, so they go too far one or the other, and they have a harder time getting on the fence, doing the thread, getting it right.
I would almost say, or I guess it's my personal opinion, like I think that when I see Marvel go dark, in my mind's eye, I never feel like it's really there. Because there's just like other stuff. There's just like a different vibe with Marvel. When I see DC be poppy and dark at the same time, whenever they have like the literal like indestructible Boy Scout flying around and being like a bright like ray of sunshine, and you have Batman just dealing with the world's most horrible shit, I just accept it and I'm like, wow, that's interesting. And like that's why I've always leaned more into DC.
And see, I could accept that, but the problem is they never act like, not never, but these days they rarely act like that's happening at the same time. They act like Batman shit is invading Superman shit and it's making it all dark.
Yeah, like, but like the way Cody described it made me think it's like it's Punisher and Captain America. Like, not to the extreme with like Punisher and Batman, but like Captain America is this beacon, this icon of hope that everybody looks up to. Even the Punisher does, but the Punisher still fucking goes and kills people, like in the Marvel Knights Punisher run. Like, that's going on. It's always at the same time. Daredevil can go from a lighthearted action adventure romp in San Francisco to deep, dark kingpin of crime of New York, and it's all the same character, and it all feels right. But like, you try and make Superman gritty, it doesn't feel right. And that's what I'm trying to say. Is like DC goes too far in one direction or the other, and they need to go. They need to thread the eye. Like realizing like, no, Superman needs to stay like this. Batman can kind of be both, but like Grifter, yeah, no, he's fucking dark. Red Hood, he's pretty dark.
Yeah, and I think that's also part of why I don't take to this immediately, because it's a big world altering event that centers around the Flash. And like, Cody, I know you said you're super into like all the Speed Force crazy Super Saiyan bullshit. I don't I like that, but it's not the thing I immediately think of when I think the Flash. I think of the Flash as a crime drama because he's a fucking police detective or forensic scientist or whatever they're deciding to update it this time.
And see, that's another thing I'm going to try to drive home real quick, is it's probably why we're so different when it comes to how we like DC. Because even as a kid and growing up, I never was able to go get comics. There was never any comics available. I never was able, like, it was literally 2012 was the first time I went into a comic book store and was able to buy something. And I bought some World War Hulk. I bought the entire run of World War Hulk. I bought Transformers versus Avengers and like some Guardians of the Galaxy current comics and stuff like that. So I loved DC so much growing up. I love DC and Marvel. I pretty much equally, like literally equally. sometimes I feel like I like DC more just because I find myself in like liking those stories more and like liking the media offerings I have for those more than Marvel. Because like Marvel now always had the movies. Growing up, I had whatever animated movie or whatever animated shows there were, and I didn't really like the Marvel animated movies because whenever they started doing those, DC had theirs, and DC's were better. Um, so for me, any Flash I got was in Justice League. So like I just got like those bits of Flash, and in my timeline, this was like the first thing where I'm like, dude, this is all Flash. I'm like, dude, finally I get to see like more Flash and like doing stuff. And this is what made me start learning about the like everything Flash has been doing and the Speed Force and all that other stuff. And that's why I have this love for the character. Like this movie alone was a lot for me for DC because it started like giving me more options and making me more interested in the comics. And it's one of the things that started making me read shit more.
And that's fair, and I think that's really valid. I mean, a lot of this conversation to me, it has echoes of like I feel like you talking to me right now is like a not necessarily older because you are physically older than me, but I have more experience with DC from periods before this. But I feel like you talking to me right now is the same kind of thing I have when I talk about the Unicron trilogy to Transformers fans who were around for Generation 1.
Yeah. Kind of, yeah.
And I'm just sitting here being a Marvel. Like I like DC.
Yeah, you
I like
weirdo.
DC.
Why do you
I
like
lo-
bots? Why are you one of those heathens? Get out of here.
I like DC, but it's always just like, oh yeah, it's DC. There's some really good stories, but it's just always like I don't connect to it in an immediate way as like I do with Marvel because I don't know. I just really love the fact that 90% of Marvel is just a monster movie dressed up like a superhero comic.
That's fair. Have you been watching SF DeBreeze's Hulk analysis, by the way?
I just realized he did a second part.
Yeah, it's big good.
But like that's kind of like why some of these aspects of this specific thing and like some other DC things are like interesting to me. It's like, oh, it's a Batman who is kind of an asshole and like not in the all-star Batman way, in like a genuine like a interesting asshole character. Like Shazam is a multimedia hive mind of kids, and that's weird and interesting. Cyborg's a big hulking fucking Mega Man bad guy. Like, it's interesting. Like, here's Aquaman just dealing with all these Lovecraftian creatures. That's fucking dope.
And Obama's in this movie.
Obama's in this movie. Come on. He dropped how many bombs on kids?
I forgot Obama was in this movie. Holy shit. I think that's the perfect note to end it on. Because we are at about 5 minutes until we need to be done with the main topic. But yeah, if there's nothing else to say, I mean, like I don't feel like I can say anything else aside from just reiterating my points.
No.
Yeah, I like it, and I like the words we've said so far.
Yay! Hey, you guys want to? Jesus. You want to find out what we're going to talk about next week, though?
Yes.
All right. I will spin the wheel in 3, 2, 1. Oh, it's spinning. It's spinning good. Yeah, I'm watching it spin. Good. It is spinning. Oh, it's about to stop. Here we go. Here we go. Motherfucker. We're talking about RoboCop.
Who put that on there? Did I do
that?
I did.
That's a Chris pick.
Chris pick.
Because that was before you were on the podcast full time, and I was putting things in there that I knew you would like, so I could go like, "Hey, you want to be on the podcast for talking about this?"
Oh, Jesus. For those of you just tuning in for this episode and don't know, I've never seen RoboCop, and RoboCop is Cody's favorite movie.
Dude, Every time you say those words, I'm just like, whoa, you've never seen RoboCop?
Hey, you won't be able to say those words next week. Tune in.
Oh,
So, are we gonna
lordy, lordy.
watch?
No, just the first movie. I don't have time to do the whole fucking series, dude. I'm a busy boy.
RoboCop 2.
Whole series. I thought there was only 2 movies, right, Cody?
If I like it, we can put the second movie on the list for a future episode. That's usually the rule with these kinds of things.
I'll watch RoboCop any day of the week, so that's fine. I don't even have to fucking watch the movie to talk about it next week. So, but I will, of course.
Well,
is there like a director's cut of RoboCop that we should watch, or just a theatrical cut?
Oh, I don't know. I just watched. What was the one I watched with Cole when I was really young? Where was that at? I think that was just on Amazon Video. Whatever, it's good. They're all. It's good.
I'll torrent it, and if there's a director's cut, I will watch that version. Because I am an unabashed pirate. Anyway, Cody, I'm sorry, but Chris, Dynamite was fucking epic this week, was it not?
One of the best fucking episodes of Dynamite this year.
Like, I legitimately loved it better than any of the pseudo pay-per-view episodes we've had the last 3 weeks.
Like, genuinely, it feels like a great blow off to all that kind of like tension and everything. Like, just Eddie Kingston, that match is like
immediately he just walks in and starts shit talking everyone and like heavily hinting that Tony Khan is a heel authority figure backstage.
Like, they're so good. Like, and that match was one of the best matches of Cody's career so far in AEW.
Oh yeah. Oh, and you want to know something precious? Like an hour after the match, because Cody had to, of course, go do gorilla position. Apparently, he went to the bathroom and then like stopped at his dressing room to grab something out of his bag, and he had taken off his boots and left them there, like changed into a pair of sweats because his tights and his boots had tacks all over them, and he fucking just tweeted, I don't know who took every last tack out of my boots, but that's a special kind of love and thank you. And then Brandy retweeted it and said, wasn't me, shrugging emoji. And then an hour later, Kingston said, I'm sorry, I wanted to do a little thing to make up for it.
Dude, that's perfect. That's beautiful. I love Eddie Kingston so much more now. Because, oh my god, that was just a fucking... Okay, let me explain it to you, Cody. So we have a third party person so we can explain our hype.
Yes!
In this match, it was a brutal, like, stiff. It was hard hitting. Like, every hit they did sounded like they genuinely just like were punching at each other.
Nice.
And eventually Eddie Kingston, the challenger, pulled out a bag of thumbtacks. He dumped them on the floor, and normally when one person brings in an item, they're the one that gets hit with it. Someone brings out a table, they're the one going through it. So you're expecting, Eddie Kingston is going to get put into thumbtacks. Okay. The match goes on a little bit. Eddie Kingston then picks up and then power bombs Cody into the thumbtacks. Cody sits up, and like a fourth of his back is just covered in thumbtacks, all embedded into his flesh.
And then Cody proceeds to win the fucking match with his move. It's like... This story of Cody progressively getting tougher and tougher challenges and getting more and more aggressive is so good. And I can't wait for the inevitable payoff when they bring in Matt Cardona and he beats the shit out of his best friend because he's just fucking pissed off as hell now and he's not thinking straight.
I just can't do 4 Horsemen, though.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
like literally Matt Cardona and Sean Spears were tweeting at each other today saying shit like because like Matt Cardona and Cody Rhodes are big Disney marks. They go to the parks all the time and sometimes they'll go together with their wives. And he tweeted out a photo from last year of Cody, Brandy, himself, and his wife just being upset that Halloween Horror Nights got canceled this year because of COVID. And then Spears replied going like, it sucks we never got to hook up at that because apparently they were planning to do so this year. And Matt Cardona was like, "Oh, there's still time. There's still time."
But that's not even like like AEW then just gets better, because then we have like the Lance Archer segment.
Oh my god! Okay, Cody, a fucking giant, like, he's like biker looking motherfucker being led around by an old guy who's known for setting snakes on people, got pissed off because he was asked why he was being shoved to the back of the card, and then he ran into the next room, which was a locker room, and just started throwing guys around, one of which he threw into the ceiling. The guy fell down and took a ceiling tile with him, which then like exploded on impact.
And then he also picked up that guy by the belt and dumped it in a trash can like a fucking nerd.
So good. Like,
and then you have
has a serious destruction fetish right now because fucking FTR in that cooler.
FTR threw a beer cooler because they were saving Hangman from a beatdown, which was like, that whole thing was great. But then you also have one of the best women's matches. You've had one of the best women's matches we had in a while.
Dude, I'd never fucking seen Ivelisse and Diamante before, and I'm instantly a huge fan of the both of them.
And we also got a women's tag team tournament, which seems to be like kind of like random tags. So who knows who's teaming up with who, that kind of thing.
It seems like it's a potential for a bunch of female versions of Ricochet and Aleister Black and fucking Matt Riddle and Pete Dunne, like that kind of shit. And I'm here for it.
Wrestle Talk was going like, I don't know if this is going to help the women's. How wouldn't it help the women's division? It is immediate matches with a bunch of different people.
For more women's matches?
They were saying like, is this really going to help the women's division? Like having a tag team tournament when they don't even have a singles? Yes, because they're using the tag team to put more people together in different situations so they can make the start of storylines.
Get them.
Wrestle Talk are a bunch of impatient idiots. Like, I love them, but they're impatient as fuck.
I mean, I can understand that we've had 9 months and no real major women's division. Like, we've had a bunch of cool stuff that I say, like, yeah, no, it's dope. Big Swole's fucking dope. Not Rhea Ripley. Role Model.
Britt Baker.
I was thinking Role Model.
Fucking Sheeta versus Nyla over the title. That was a pretty good story.
Penelope for the title.
Mm-hmm. Just because there's no like huge long-running blood feuds doesn't mean there's not good stories happening. I don't get how people like don't understand that. Like, people look at Shawn Spears just quietly boiling on the back burner, waiting until he can bubble over, and they go, oh, they're just doing the same thing WWE did. They're shoving him to the undercard with a stupid gimmick, and he's never going to go anywhere. He is actually just there to be a good hand. It's like, motherfucker, he's just waiting for Cody to say the words Four Horsemen.
Four Horsemen.
Oh no, you've done it, Cody.
You've unleashed them. Which is another thing I want to say, like, if it does end up being Sean, Cody, and Matt, who do you think will be the fourth guy?
I don't know, because the other Major City Podcast dude is an Impact.
Yeah.
Maybe Hangman, but probably not, because it feels like they're trying to make him like lone wolf, good guy kind of character now. Because I think they're heavily hinting that the Elite are going to turn heel.
I think the Elite are just going to implode.
I think the Elite are just going to go like, you know what? Fuck this. Let's just be... I'm tired of playing nice. Let's be our old selves and just not give a shit.
This is our goddamn company. You need to listen to us.
Yeah. So maybe like if they have Cody Rhodes, Matt Cardona, and Shawn Spears, I wouldn't mind it being a trio and just kind of doing something a little bit different. But if they have to have 4 guys, I would prefer a smaller guy to kind of be a cruiserweight for the faction.
I'm just trying to think of a name. Like, part of me
Maybe
wants to
Ricky
say like,
Starks,
no,
but
he's
he's
with
already in
Taz.
Taz. But
I
that's
was
what I'm
gonna
saying.
say like maybe Darby or Jungle Boy, but like Jungle Boy's too much of a face to I think go that bad that quick, and I feel like
Dude,
Darby needs to just be a lifelong tweener.
I know who it is.
Who?
It's MJF.
Yes, 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 yes. I am
Cody
literally Daniel Bryan.
Cody turns heel, and then MJF in the next Dynamite comes out and goes like, Cody, Cody, Cody.
What
See,
did I fucking tell you, bud?
it's good to have you back. You were putting on such a big face for all these fucking idiots.
Kirby.
And then fucking, my God, dude, that tag team match between Butcher, Blade, and the Young Bucks.
It was so fucking good. I thought it was going to be a little bit more cinematic than it was, just because they started in the backstage, and I thought, oh man, that's dope.
The way it was shot, I thought it was cinematic until they came out to the ring.
I mean, it can be both, but like, damn, it made Butcher and Blade look fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
And apparently, that segment of AEW broke 1 million viewers.
That's awesome. Dude, they fucking beat every WWE show in the ratings this week. Not just NXT, not just Raw or SmackDown, but everything across the board. Like, and I don't want to be like, fuck WWE. I'm glad that I don't want that company to die. But I think it's incredible that WWE is just losing fans by the droves right now, and AEW is continuing to grow in slow increments.
I mean, AEW has been at like the 700,000 viewership number for a good number of weeks now, and they broke back up into 800,000.
It's
this week.
It's real crazy, and also God, what was I gonna say? There was something else I wanted to add to that. Oh yeah, the only problem I had with this whole show was during that tag match actually, because was it Butcher or Blade? One of them gets kicked onto an escalator and then just starts sliding upwards.
That was Blade.
That really skivved me out because like my dad, the entire time I was conscious of him working for a living, he was working for companies selling escalators and handicap lifts and stuff like that. That was his entire career. And he's told me a lot of horror stories of people getting parts of their bodies caught in escalators and losing those parts of their bodies. So when you do any kind of a stunt involving a moving escalator, I don't care how safe you are as a performer, I'm immediately like, Jesus fucking Christ, don't do that.
And it was so simple. He was just sitting on it.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I only do stunts with eels.
Yeah, I mean, it's fair.
It's a good plan.
But also Blade fucking whipping an entire table and doing a goddamn swanton onto the goddamn floor.
That was great.
Fucking best botch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. Also, there was an I am the table spot this show.
And also, we're getting a 5-on-5 tag, Inner Circle versus Jungle Boy, Luchasaurus, the Best Friends, and Orange Cassidy.
That's the other big thing we have to hit. How do you feel about Darby being back so soon? Or not Darby, fucking Sammy. How do you feel about him being back so soon?
I mean, considering like he was already extremely remorseful for what he did, and he was like, yeah, no, I fucked up. And he was gone for like 2 months.
Yeah.
Or a month, I think.
It's just shy of a month.
I mean,
and there was an actual news story. He did actually donate his salary to that women's shelter. Like, not like AEW putting out a press release, like a local newspaper reported on it.
Yeah, I saw something on News4Jax about that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm fine with it. And I can understand why people go like, but like, if he comes back and just is like, there's no big like, oh, he's back now. People would complain. It's like, oh, he's just back. They're not gonna announce it or anything. It's just like,
well, the other thing is like for a split second there, I was kind of excited by the booking potential of having Serpentico fill in for him for like a month or two, and then Sammy shows back up and he's like, "What the fuck? You replaced me?"
I mean, and also, who knows? Serpentico might just be like cool and friends with the Inner Circle, and it's just like, hey, no, you can use my mask to fucking pull a one on people. Like, I don't care. Let's hang out. That'd be dope. Or maybe
dude,
Serpentico's turning face, and now we have a masked wrestler face pissed off at Sam. He's like, well, fuck you. You stole my mask. Fuck you.
That could work. Also, tragic, terrible news. I'm very upset about. I saw Ray Phoenix without a mask today.
I mean, he had a mask,
but
just didn't have
the part of his face that I'm used to not being able to see, I saw. So I can composite his face together in my mind now, and I've been trying very hard not to.
Is that what he looks like?
Yes, it's definitely what he looks like, Cody.
I mean, to me, I can't do that with masked wrestlers. It's just hard. And also, I have a shit enough memory. I've even looked up Rey Mysterio Jr.'s face, and I don't remember what it looks like.
See, I can see that shit in my head clear as day because I've seen a picture of him completely without a mask. Well,
yeah, but that was in like WCW.
Yeah. No, recently I was talking about like he at his daughter's graduation there was a picture of him without a mask that got out.
Fucking assholes. It's a masked wrestler. He wants to be masked. Don't fucking take pictures of him.
Fucking what the shit. Anything else on Dynamite we really need to comment on?
Warhorse.
Yeah, that's next week. Cody versus Warhorse. I can't believe they fucking like Arn. Apparently, Arn literally threw that out off the cuff just to mess with Cody because he knew Cody wasn't the biggest Warhorse fan. But the internet got in such a furor over the idea that they were like, "All right, we'll book it." And apparently, Cody and him have now talked, and they're cool with each other.
Dope.
So like, excitement and goodness.
Warhorse is basically like an 80s wrestler with metalhead wrestler, but on crack, apparently.
Oh, I'm going to love this guy. I'm going to love him so much. I'm going to look up indie matches before Dynamite on Wednesday. Because that sounds awesome. But Chris and I have been talking an awful lot for the last almost 20 minutes. So, Cody, why don't you tell us a little bit of what you've been up to this week?
This week I've just been doing some collecting. I've not had a whole lot of time to like watch anything. I started playing Elder Scrolls Online, and that's an MMO. More importantly, me and Chris and my friend Zach, we went out and hunted a couple of things, you know. I can't remember which day was which, because I know on Friday we went out, but I'm not sure if I went out with Chris. Did we go out on Friday?
I don't remember.
No, that was Saturday because Sunday I had to come back to St. Augustine.
Yeah, we went like to St. Augustine and Jacksonville.
Yeah. So the day before that, which I think I did get to say on stream, I found the Green Hulk. Since then, I have collected one AT-AT driver, one Forlom. I got another Microman figure from early 2000s, which, by the way, Chris, it's broken in box, and I didn't know
that sucks.
The figure has like this really long tail, and it looks like it literally broke just from like sitting in a position. Because it's like 30 ball joints sit on top of each other, but the way they do the ball joints are just it's like a cup, so it could bend out, you know, it can go up, but not left and right when it's in the down position. And one of the parts of the cup broke on one of the 30 joints. It's not a big deal. It sucks that I noticed it, but realistically, I just got it because it was this one store had one of them like 7 months ago, and I bought it. And they had two of them, and I didn't buy this one. And then I came back and I was like, oh, it's on a wall by itself. I'll just grab it this time. Because I wasn't really like, I went hunting and I didn't really find a lot of stuff. What I did find was some not super important Mega Constructs Call of Duty boys, but it was the glow in the dark ones. I think that was also Saturday or Friday. I can't remember. It's all blended together since then. Pretty much just a bunch of neat toys. I've definitely come literally inside of the idea that I know I'm going to be collecting glow in the dark stuff now.
It's going to become your gimmick, man. I can see it.
Yeah, I guess it's gonna have to, just because like they keep, like, NECA keeps doing glow in the dark like RoboCop figures, and every time I see one, I'm like, I want that, but I got no reason for it, and now I have a reason for it. And there's so many things that I already like that just do glow in the dark shit that I would pick up anyways. But there's something about turning my lights off and walking over to my bed. Because, by the way, because I know you guys asked for me to talk about how I go to sleep tonight. My
When did I
entire
do
life.
that?
Yeah, you said it. I every time I use the bathroom, walk over to my light, turn it off. My room is completely dark, and because I know my room, I just walk to my bed, in like complete darkness. And a little while ago, whenever me and Chris started talking about doing a whole different type of toy podcast, I started getting Go-Go's, and some of them glow in the dark, and I was like, wow, I like this. So like that's why I'm doing it. Like now I have quite a few things that glow in the dark. One of them is a Hot Wheels car, and I didn't know it glue in the dark. And one day I just like walked by going to bed, and I was just like, whoa, the fuck is that? It's like scared the hell out of me. But yeah, no, there's just something cool about like shutting your lights off, and you're like, wow, I'm 5 again, and like that's dope. It's just as cool. Like stars on a ceiling that glow in the dark are just as cool when I was a kid as they are now. I'm like, wow, that's crazy. I know how that works now, but it's still cool.
I love how your brain works sometimes.
Hey, I also cracked up,
Cracked open a cold one with the boys?
No, when I was a kid, I cracked open a glow stick, and it was on my hands, and my hands were glowing, and I was like, I didn't know it worked this way, but apparently that was toxic.
You stabbed a Punisher, that Predator.
But yeah, like, not been tracking. I mean, I got that really cool Mega Constructs thing. I got like a really cool San Diego Comic-Con exclusive thing, which I've never gotten a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive because I've never been, but I also never got one online, so that's neat. But other than that, I've just been working a bunch and not had a very eventful weekend or week.
No,
that's
How about
y'all? Chris, do you want to go next, or should I?
I don't have a ton of things to talk about, so I'll go. Okay. I read through Spider-Man Life Story.
Oh shit! Tell him I have read the first 3 or 4 issues of that.
It's fucking great because they basically went like, all right, let's take every major Spider-Man story, let's get rid of the ones that suck, and basically readapt them as if it was a full story, beginning, middle, and end of one dude's life.
Yeah.
So, like, you have Parker Industries, but it's in the 70s. And you do Superior Spider-Man, but it's like, he doesn't go into Peter's body. He goes into Miles' body. Oh, that's interesting. They acknowledge that Dr. Otto Octavius loves Aunt May, and that's fucking great. I love that as a character trait. They also, I wouldn't say, they don't fix Venom. They do a really cool take on Venom, because they do, part of the story is Kraven's last hunt. And that's right around the time when Peter has the symbiote, and he gets rid of it right after that. So the symbiote goes on to Kraven, and he becomes Venom.
Nice. All the stuff you're mentioning, I think, is right after I stopped reading.
Like, genuinely, like, they do the Clone Saga good. like it is really fascinating, and it's a great like bit of kit for Marvel, and I wouldn't mind if they did it with other characters. But also on the day I hung out with Cody and he got a couple of those toys, we went into Barnes and Noble and I got a book and I've been reading it.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, it's actually impressive for me because I've actually been reading it every day. It's One Piece, Ace's story. It's a spin-off novel from One Piece. Basically starring it's really good. It's mostly like backstory of like, hey, you know this cool character from the book from One Piece that's like the brother of the main character we all love. Hey, here's some backstory, and that's mostly it. It's just like, hey, here's how he got his pirate crew that we never explained in the comic. So here you go.
Well, I'm glad you're enjoying that. I hear Zach is also enjoying his somewhat adultish manga he picked up. So
Glypnir, didn't he get that? Glypnir or something like that?
Yeah, I definitely didn't read the title, so
I saw it. I think the manga he grabbed was, the best way to describe it is a dude turns into a giant mascot suit, but it's still fleshy on the inside. And a girl gets into him and controls him, and they fight things.
That's definitely it, and I didn't realize the
why is
fleshy
Japan
part.
like this?
Oh, well.
Why aren't you like this?
Yeah, because why aren't you sexually excited about a girl climbing into you as a mascot furry suit made of flesh?
Because I'm sexually excited by karate bugmen. Give me more of that shit from Japan.
I also watched episode 2 of Gunbuster. It immediately got really, really sad.
I've heard that happens, yeah. Because it's like 4 episodes long, and they do a lot in those 4 episodes, apparently.
6.
Oh, okay.
Because the first episode was like, oh, Top Gun, sports, high school, blah, blah, blah. And the second one is like, all right, cool, you're going on a space mission near light speed, so you're going to lose about 9 months of friendship with people that you know. So they're going to be here for like 9 months, and then you'll just miss it. It'll be like 5 minutes for you. And oh, yeah, you're going to find the ship that your dad was lost in, and she loses it and goes like, fuck, I'm gonna find my dad. Because for them, it's probably been like an hour, because they've been going at light speed. And she goes like, no, I need to find my dad. And basically, yeah.
It's Bubblegum Interstellar.
And apparently the next episode, progressively more sad.
Yep. I know what all sorry, you go.
Go.
I was just gonna say, I know what all happens in that show. I just have never gotten around to watching it. So, like, when I say it's a Bubblegum Interstellar, I really mean that. Like, Nolan is one of those creators who would never admit to it, but like he has incredibly similar ideas to stuff that's come way before him.
Oh yeah, no. Like, if you probably showed half the shit that his stuff is based off of, he'd go like, what the like, I don't know. Also, Gorillaz, I listened to their new Song Machine.
Yeah, that was cool.
Me too, also.
It's good. It's a solid little song.
It is a song.
And the animation was top notch.
Yeah, I also just really like kind of like sassy, take charge adult Noodle. I'm here for that.
I mean, someone has to be the adult in that family.
Mm-hmm.
Even though 2D is technically 40.
Also, like, I don't know much of the actual story stuff. I just know the visuals I see with the videos. Is it supposed to be taking place in current day? Are they quarantining in that? Is that why they're all in the house just fucking around?
I mean, they've kind of. I mean, that hasn't been the major story for what they've been doing. And the story for this is Murdoch just basically got 2D at Pac-Man machine, and he's been addicted to it. That's the story for this music video.
Mm-hmm. Also, for anyone who wants to know how quick it took for edits of that ending to get out, 2 hours, at least by my count.
For what?
Yeah. Apparently, the
What?
same people who make Pokemon edits are Gorillaz fans.
What edit are you talking about?
God damn, you're naive, Chris. I'm talking about porn.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like, you know how the joke during the entire lead up to Sword and Shield was the Pokemon fandom gets porn out ridiculously quick?
Yeah, yeah.
That's what I was saying. Those same artists are all Gorillaz fans.
And it's nah.
Yeah, I was not happy.
So we got some Schoolboy Q art I need to see, I guess.
I'll DM you after we stop recording.
Don't.
Oh god. Anything else, Chris?
No, that's about it. Kind of, really, for the most part.
All right. Trying to decide. You know what? Fuck it. I'll just dive right in. I started watching Gem and the Holograms.
You just do what BMAS tells you to.
At this point, well, yeah. Because, like, he got me to buy Fantastic Four action figures, and now I'm watching Gem and the Hologram, because I was looking for something. I got tired of just the monotony of watching new YouTube videos every day when I get home from work, and I was like, I want to watch a fucking show, but I don't want to have to read, so I'm not watching a Toku right now. Fuck, what do I have downloaded already? Oh, Gem and the Holograms, let's start that. And, he was so ridiculously right about this show that it's scary. Like, Cody, have you seen that video that B-Mask did on Gem and the Holograms?
No.
Okay. So basically his whole take was that Gem is like a ridiculously good comic book thing that's made to sell knockoff Barbie dolls to little girls by Hasbro in the 80s, but it's got all these interesting character dynamics and pathos and a wonderfully inventive kind of bubblegum 80s world. And it's just way better than it has any right to be, especially when it's from the same studio that brought you the Transformers G1 and G.I. Joe: A Real American Hero cartoons.
Hey,
But
don't
like,
talk bad about A Real American Hero.
listen, I've seen all of G1 and I've seen a few episodes of Real American Hero. They're about the same in quality to me, which is like there's some good ideas in there. The pilots are really good. The movies are really good. The rest of it is super hit or miss. And there's tons of animation errors, and mostly it's just kind of stock plot stuff.
I will say that that's definitely more G1 than it is G.I. Joe, because the entirety, I like grew up watching the entirety of G.I. Joe, because I don't know what it aired on, but like, I don't mean to sidetrack on this, but it was something I watched regularly as a child for whatever reason.
And I mean, like, I could probably stand to go back and rewatch that stuff as well, but like, this is wonderful. Like, a lot of these characters have really like more facets than you would expect from a show like this, because like it's a fucking cartoon for little girls meant to sell dolls made in the 80s that just spells awful stereotypes and stock plots all over the wall.
Is that My Little Pony you're talking about?
I might be throwing some shade there. But like My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, this like takes all that like super girly aesthetic and says like, yeah, no, but they're all real people. They all have more stuff going on, and they all have struggles. Like, it's a huge ensemble show, and yet almost every character has a few different things going on about them. Like the fucking one thing B-Mask didn't even get to in his video is the fucking main member of the Misfits, Pizzazz. Like, he talks about like, oh yeah, she's an evil, bitchy, mean girl, and we're supposed to not like her, and she's kind of fun because of that. But like, it's incredible how like she's just she is that way, but there's like all these little explanations for why she is that way built in of like, well, she's being puppeted by this business mogul that wants to get Jem's company back. And she's a fucking spoiled brat because her dad's a ridiculously rich guy that'll just give her anything she says she wants to buy. Like, literally in the last episode I watched, she got her dad to buy her a music company just by being annoying. And he was just like, I'll buy you whatever you want, square it with the bank, just fucking leave me alone so I can work. And like there's just shit like that all over the show. And in addition to that, the aesthetic is fucking wonderful. Like one of like my like super side things I'm really into is what I like to call 80s garbage fashion, which is basically anything Cyndi Lauper would have worn back then. And that's everything every character wears in this show. Like there's a few characters who dress normally, like some of the kids in the orphanage and fucking the more businessy type characters. But for the most part, like the outfits that Gem and the Holograms and the Misfits and like Rio are all wearing is like, oh god, this is ridiculously elaborate, gaudy garbage, and I love it. I love the way it looks on all these characters. And the music is also like way more fun than I thought it would be. And there's some stupid, like, we're just filling for time songs, but a lot of them are actually building character in really interesting and fun ways. Like, again, in that last episode, I watched Pizzazz had a song called Designing Woman, which I think was actually featured in the BMask video, but it's actually got some really good social commentary on it that is like Pizzazz criticizing housewives and explaining kind of like why she's so fucking aggressive about her career. And I'm watching it, I'm like, this is really good and I'm enjoying it, but I keep questioning, why the fuck is this in a girls cartoon from the 80s? And why the fuck did Transformers and G.I. Joe catch on, and this has just been left in the 80s fucking zeitgeist of forgetfulness? Like, I know there's IDW comics, and I know there was a movie, but that movie tanked, and the only people I ever hear talking about the IDW comics are social justice warriors. Like, where is like the huge resurgence of Gem and the Holograms nostalgia? Because I feel like, especially with how big My Little Pony Friendship is Magic got, I feel like that should have been a thing by now.
Yeah, but do you want it to be a thing with how big My Little Pony Friendship is Magic got?
Maybe not on that level. And maybe I think like female representation in nerd media has to get a little bigger before that can happen. But like it's still how I fucking feel. Something else I can talk about. Oh, did you listen to Matt Cardona's new theme when I posted it in my server?
I don't think I did.
It is by the same band that did Cody's theme, Downstate.
Nice.
And it's basically the same thing, but like changed up to be all of his branding. And it's just as good. Like, it doesn't feel like they're being lazy. It just feels like, no, this fits his character too. And this is why Matt needs to go to AEW and they can be buddies.
Always ready?
Mm-hmm. The song is called When the Lights Go Down, but that's like Matt's new catchphrase. So it's all over that song. Like, I think it opens with like a little bit of keyboard and electric guitar, and then really hard slam on the guitar and bass, and the singer screams "Always Ready." But yeah, it was a great, intense, fucking like modern rock song that I've been working out to the couple times I worked out this week. I just had that on loop because it was really good at getting me pumped up in the same way that Kingdom is, which is what Cody's theme is called. Also, for the Cody that's in this recording session, yeah. Downstate is also the band that did the Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes theme.
I don't remember what that sounds like.
Always We Will Fight as One.
Let me just YouTube.
Yeah, but between that Kingdom and this, I'm like, man, I gotta fucking dig into some more Downstate because they seem like they'd be really up my alley and that kind of like not lyrically amazing, but like just fun, solid modern rock stuff. You want to hear about the last couple episodes of 01?
Sure.
So you know that big corporate capitalist asshole villain that I was like talking about how wonderfully evil he is and like saying how good the show was using him as like a punching bag for the last however many episodes?
Yeah.
They made him a good guy.
Yeah.
Basically, there's a whole thing where Guy almost gets removed from the company because the two vice president guys who were working under Aruto and now are working under Guy are like, we're fucking fed up with this guy. Aruto, come help us get some dirt on him. And then he finds out and he like flips his fucking shit and is trying to get all the data deleted. And Aruto shows up and stops him, and he's like clutching onto the desk and being like, no, you can't remove me. I need to be here. I need to be here. And he's like, Aruto's just like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And leaves and goes to fight Arc. And then fucking, who was it? Fua, I think it is, Kamen Rider Vulcan, leaves a device that they had built in the last couple episodes, which is basically it's an Alexa. It's a little AI voiced by Mao, aka Gokai Yellow, and it's meant to be like a counselor for people, because it was to help Fuo with his trauma, and then he gave it to Yaiba for a little while, and then she gave it back, and now they're giving it to Guy. And he has this discussion with it where it's like, well, why do you feel this way? Why do you need to stay here? Why do you need to control everything and constantly be the best? And why do you insist that everything has to be perfect? And they basically reveal, like, first off, he has the same fucking backstory as Tony Stark of he was just a fucking kid and he was doing pretty good, but his dad was like, pretty good is not good enough. You need to be better, son. And he fucking forced him to get rid of his toys and shit. And it was that kind of drove him to be a perfectionist and be like, well, humans have to always be this perfect model of getting shit done, and we all have to be able to service the capitalistic machine as much as possible, basically. And then Satellite Zaya notices this and fucking fabricates a new, because that's the thing in the flashback is like his favorite toy when he was a kid was the first ever Heat-En Industries product, which was a robot dog with a very basic AI in it. And so Satellite Zaya crafts a new version of him, which is an actual real robot dog that was developed by Sony, and they're using it to kind of test out robotics technology. But now it's appearing in Kamen Rider as this character, which is just a robot dog named Fowzer. Because why not? But he has like this incredibly emotional reaction to getting this new dog and seeing that it's like the exact same as the one he had when he was a kid. And he just like immediately realizes why he's been a gigantic asshole to everyone and why he's been a gigantic asshole to everyone. And he's like, oh God, I have majorly fucked up. I need to start fixing things. And he just immediately goes to help Aruto fight Arc. And they have this fucking badass fight scene at the start of episode 39. That's set to the theme song and everything. But then immediately after that, when Arc retreats, just after kicking their butts a little bit, they go back to Aruto's office, and he literally, like, there's literally this conversation of like literally line for line, if you ever really cared about artificial intelligence, why would you why would you teach Ark about the evils of humanity and nothing else? There's some things you just can't apologize for. Do you realize how many people suffered at his hands because of you? And then there's Fua and Yaiba, who he had fucking brainwashed and made them forget about their pasts and all that shit. You've got a lot of work to do if you really want to atone for what you've done. And it's like, people were panicking and freaking out when the scans of this came out, and they were like, oh my god, they're redeeming Guy, and he's just going to be a comedy background character now. And I can't believe they're just copying what they did with what's his name, Dan the Man,
Kuroto.
Yeah, they're just copying what they did with Kuroto because it's the same writer and he's just doing the same thing over and over again. No, this is a different take on that. This is the same story structure, but he's doing a different take here. And like, everybody just kind of accepted Kuroto because he was ridiculously insane and also they could put him on a leash. People aren't accepting Guy here. He's really having to bust his ass to prove it to people. And like, part of the greatness of this robot dog character is like, routinely whenever he starts to like seep back into that assholishness even a little bit, the dog will just start growling at him and he's immediately like, you're right, I'm sorry. And it's like he has a sober companion or something. It's really interesting, and I'm enjoying it a whole hell of a lot. I don't know, like, maybe I'm the crazy one, but I feel like there's just so many Kamen Rider fans out there that don't understand the concept of 50 episode show, one story. They clearly know where they're going, what the beginning, middle, and end is. You got to sit back and see where it takes you. And like, so far, it seems like they're doing this arc right. And like, the show's got 10 episodes left, so I think they have enough time to make it work.
Cool.
Yeah.
That sounds really interesting.
It is. It's good. We should get you on some Kamen Rider, Cody. Though probably not for this show because it takes a long time to watch.
Don't all buy the toys.
Anything else I want to mention? I did finish rereading a book I've been working on for the last couple weeks. Cell by Stephen King, which is basically just Stephen King does the modern zombie apocalypse story in his own way. And it's really, really good because it gets weird and Lovecraftian very quickly.
Yeah. I've never been into Stephen King, so.
I'm like one of those people who's not like into Stephen King, but I will never say no to reading something of his. And I think this is like either the second or third book of his I ever read. So I was kind of like, I realized I didn't have it on Audible yet, and it struck me. I was struck by the mood to want to reread it, and it still holds up. I think it's very good. However, given current times, there were some parts in it that were really hard to get through because a lot of it is about social commentary, especially in regards to being too addicted to technology. Because, it's not actual zombies in this. It's people get their brains rewritten by a tone pulse that goes out through every cell phone in the world.
That's okay, boomer.
Yeah. I mean, this was written pretty soon after 9/11, so. But I think that's just about everything there is for me this week. So, fellas, why don't you tell the people who you are and where they can find you if you want to?
My name is Chris Boynwright Gaston. You can buy me on the YouTube link to that's in the description. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter, Boingo_writer.
I'll buy 5 Boingo Riders. Get a whole little shelf of them going.
I mean, you do give me money every month.
I'm his patron people. There's not a seedy backstage relationship going on that anyone needs to know of.
You still just give me money every month. Instagram and Twitter, it's boingo_writer. You can join my Discord. The link to that is in the description. Come in. We'll talk about butts and stuff and toys and maybe wrestling more there. More people come in just because we don't really talk about wrestling in Vax's channel, but his is Patreon exclusive.
That's true.
Ooh.
And that's about it on me. I don't think I have anything else.
Well, my name is Snowcone on most things. On Instagram, if you want to see some of the stuff I buy, some of the things I make, and some of the decisions I make, it's a never_robot.
Sometimes you're not good decisions.
I also am. What am I not a common robo or something? I can't remember what that is. That might have been my Tumblr at one point. Don't look that up. But yeah, my name is Cody /Snowcone. Go find me.
I am the Vacuuminator, your modular king of the content creating ring, and I make videos over on the YouTube. There's some interesting kind of crazy stuff going on right now with some asshole who I might have known once upon a time, and he might be back on my channel causing problems, but that's not going to interfere from me providing great content from you people. So head on over to my channel at youtube.com/thevacuuminator, subscribe and watch all of my great content. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter and Instagram at the Vacuuminator. And while you're at it, while you're doing all this jumping around and following, why don't you go ahead and subscribe to the Modular Media YouTube channel and ring that bell to enable notifications so you can get every episode of the Analytical Fanboys podcast as it comes out. And hey, give this episode a like in order to help it out in the YouTube algorithm, and comment with your own thoughts on the discussion we've had so far tonight. And hey, if you want to listen to this show on the go, we got a Google Drive folder that's linked in the video description with MP3s of every episode we've produced thus far. And great ways to stay updated with us, guys. There's great ways out there. You go to Twitter, follow us at The Modular Media, and we have a subreddit. It's called r/Modular Media. You should definitely go follow those, and you should definitely come back next time when we'll be discussing RoboCop. But until then,
Yep.
Can I buy it for $1? Is that a thing for that movie, or is that from something else? I don't know.
I'd buy that for $1. Yes, you
I'd buy that
for $1. Or we should all try and sync up. I'd buy. Fuck it.